So we got 3 out of 2 visits inside the 5-yard line, actually. And the other day, 4 times in the red zone, we only got 3 points. So, sometimes when you don't cash in those opportunities, it can come back and bite you. And obviously that's what happened the other day. We're just as good a team as Tennessee, easily, and it was at their place. We had all kind of chances, but just didn't get it done. And hopefully we can regroup. And DJ Lagway, I guess he's our man now.
He is.
And we don't have to worry about who's going to play. He's it.
No.
And maybe we can turn a corner and start scoring all of those times and not have those 12 guys on the field and play pretty clean football. And I think we'll have a chance to have a winning season.
Another Dooley Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, welcome into another edition of another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We appreciate all of our great sponsors, and we've gotten a lot of them lately have come on, and we're still looking. We got a couple of spots open, so if somebody is interested, in fact, I'm talking to somebody right now about becoming a sponsor, and look, we give it to you really cheap. But it's great exposure. Anyway, just to let you know, Coach Spurrier will be in here today, every Monday. Coach Spurrier's here, and Robbie Andrew does Yes, No Way, or Maybe, so we'll have him on. Also, wanted to let you know that Thursday show, John Clay from the Lexington paper will join us. We'll talk about Kentucky with him. Next week on Thursday, Danny Werfel's going to join us, and that'll be a lot of fun to talk to him. Maybe he can explain all the things that are going on down here. Let's get to our Gainesville Quarterback Club starting 5, and it is brought to you by the Gainesville Quarterback Club tomorrow night, Tuesday night. Dari Noka is the speaker. Can't wait to see Dari. It's always fun talking to him. He's just a good dude, man, and look forward to not only talking to him, but giving my little speech there and talking about the game. Can't think of anything funny to say. All right, so let's get to number 1 on our Gainesville Quarterback Club starting 5, and that it did feel in some ways like Groundhog Day, and that Florida somehow lost a game it could have easily won. There were special teams penalties. There were some other things that were crazy. There was play calling that was questionable. There was time management that was questionable. And today, Billy Napier was grilled on all that by the media boys. And look, the explanation that doesn't sit well with me is the 12 men on the field. They had a substitution error, and they know what it is, so it's not a concern. It's okay, but you lost a game, and it's part of the reason you lost the game. Look, I'm not going to sit here and just rip Billy Napier all day. That is not fair. Nobody's hurting worse than he is. He's not doing this to you guys on purpose, okay? And I'll get to some other things I want to talk about, but the noise in the system, we know it gets loud. They went up there and as a 2-touchdown underdog and played their tails off. That is coaching too, but in the end, it's just like they just can't find a way to win. They just find ways to lose. This is a long-standing tradition now for Florida football in the last 4 years. They find ways to lose. Last year, could have beaten Arkansas. Think about it. You beat Arkansas and you beat Missouri, which you had the games won. And I guess Trey Smack's going to miss a field goal every time they lose a close game. I don't know. But you had Tennessee won. So then you were gone 7-5 last year. You'd be 4-2 right now. There would be no noise in the system. But you got to win those games. And that's what great coaches do. Look, the SEC right now could not be more compact than it's been. The best team is Texas. There's no doubt about it. They're really good. And to me, anybody else, maybe Mississippi State can't beat you, but Mississippi State lost by 10 to Georgia. So everybody's competitive. This has no weaklings. Certainly Vanderbilt's not one of them anymore. So you've got to have an edge. And the edge can't be that you find ways to lose. That's not an edge. That's a dull blade is what that is. All right, let's go ahead and move along because I do want to talk about Graham Mertz and what he has meant to this program and what he's meant to Billy Napier. You could hear it in his voice today. Of course, out for the season. When it happened, I went, oops, ACL. I mean, at first I go, I hope he turned his ankle, and then they showed the replay, and I went, oh, that. And again, I can tell it's an ACL just because even though you can't tell by looking at what's happening, but you can tell when a guy knows that it's his ACL and feels it pop. And you can see the frustration on the sideline and everything. He is everything you want a Gator quarterback to be. And I'm not talking about talent. I'm talking about loved the community, loved being a Gator, loved being at the University of Florida, led the team, tried to inspire the team every chance he got, played his heart out. Wasn't always surrounded by the best players, but I feel really bad for him. And I think the Gator Nation really does. And maybe we can just tone everything down for a while just to kind of think about what it means for him to be out. The other injury, of course, that happened in that game, Montrell Johnson, Billy Napier addressed it today, but only in vague terms. He said, we don't see it being a long-term deal. Well, does that mean he's playing this week or not? And look, they've got those other backs are pretty good, but they don't have that burst that Montrell has. That is a loss for Florida if he can't play for a while. So let's get to number 2 on our Gainesville Quarterback Club starting 5, and that is the go for 2, which they didn't do. And look, I said go for 2 as soon as they scored that touchdown, but and I understand the philosophy. Look, they had a play called. It was a trick play. They've been working on it, obviously, in practice. They were ready, and they were going to fool them, and they were going to score. And I would love to see how it would have worked out. I have no idea. But I've seen that formation before. It's kind of a swing gate, but it's a variation of it. And, of course, Tennessee goes, whoa, we just got hit by a touchdown pass. We can't believe it. We're a little stunned. And they're going to run a trick play. Timeout. Smart move by Josh Heupel. And Florida, scared money, don't make money, decides, nah, let's just kick it. Now, and here's what I believe, and this is where I will be critical of Billy Napier. If you're on the road, you've gotten a touchdown from a quarterback who's really not playing very well because he's caught up a little bit in it. He's doing the best he can. But mainly it's because you had this long kick or long punt return is why you were able to get back in the game. And then Lagway makes this unbelievable play, and it's almost like, I can't believe it. I mean, okay, go for 2 now. Right away, go for 2. No, don't go for 2. Look, it is what it is. If they go for 2 and don't get it, now we're complaining, take it to overtime. Earlier in the game, I was watching with Kelsey, and she goes, well, Dad, earlier you said you got to take it to overtime here. And I go, yeah, but it was different. That team was at home, I think. I can't remember which game it was. There were so many good games. But there is something that you keep harking back to, and that is that the guy just doesn't seem to have that 4-leaf clover or, whatever you want to call a lucky shirt or anything. But certainly the black one that he wears for every game is not the lucky one since he has a losing record with that shirt on. But he just doesn't get a lot of breaks. I mean, you get down to the 1-inch line and you say, hey, Graham, just sneak it. Guy makes a play, ball comes out. They have to review it for an hour. Fumble, changes the game. A lot of plays in that game that just could have gone Florida's way. And, of course, the trouble is, and when I referred to it as Groundhog Day, you had the special teams, 12 men on the field. You had 4th and 1. Now, the 4th and 1 play, I will say this. The 4th and 1 play that they ran and tried to jet sweep might have broken big, but there was a guy made a great play to keep from getting it. And I'll give him that. What I won't give him is it was 4th and 1, and it wasn't even 1. And you've got to have a play better than that. Now, you might spring that, but I don't know. And again, this is all second guessing. We lead the league in second guessing. Nobody second guesses like Florida fans. Although I will say this, I probably shouldn't say anything about that. I was heard from somebody who was talking about other fans in another. Let's just put it this way: they were talking about fans that you wouldn't think would be that crazy and that anal about things, but they are. Yeah, that's just. I'll leave it at that. One day I'll tell Zach off the air. All right, so that's number 2. Okay, number 3. Here's my feeling on this whole thing. Maybe Florida's defense has turned a corner. Okay, think about this. They last 2 games gave up 13 and 17 points. That's winning football. Usually, not always, but it should be winning football. And that's all we've ever asked of them, was to be good enough to win games with the offense. Now they're in a situation where they're going to have to be great on defense because the offense is not going to be what it used to be. But maybe they are turning the corner, and maybe Lagway now is a starter. We see this Anthony Richardson type player, although no, I really don't want to see Anthony Richardson back here. You know, it's so mind-boggling because you're going to see a lot of that stuff with Lagway that you saw with Richardson because he's young and he's just getting started. I will say this. I think he prepares better, and I think he's worked a little bit harder at being a good quarterback. But it's going to be interesting. That's all I can say. However, in the end, I just feel like if you certainly don't make a move on Billy Napier now. And I don't think you do until it's all over. Like if he's going to go 3-9 or 4-8 and he's got to beat FSU to do that, it may be time to cut the cord. If he's found new ways to lose games, yeah. But for now, you got to keep him because he got those guys to play their butts off. He put a great game plan together, he and his staff. Now, did they have mistakes? Did they do things that have been haunting them since he's been here? Yes. And so that's why so many people want him fired. But first of all, not now. That would be the dumbest thing you could possibly do. And just see what he can do the rest of the way. Maybe the offense clicks. You've seen the receivers start to come around. I don't know. I see no point. And again, everybody wants, let's go get Lane Kiffin. He's the same guy. Just wins a few more games, but he still, finds ways to lose them, especially on the road. All right, let's get to number 4, which was what an unbelievable Saturday it was. Now, I know that everybody in the Gator Nation is disappointed to lose a game like that. You lose a game in overtime. But can you imagine just sitting at home and not having a dog in any of the hunts and just saying, I'm just going to see what this college football is all about? And you watch all these incredible games and you say, hey, didn't you tell me Vanderbilt stinks? Oh, they're 4-2 now. They just beat Kentucky. This Oregon game was unbelievable. Oregon beating Ohio State. There was just so much going on. Texas looked incredible. There was the Ole Miss LSU game. It was just, I had the 3 TVs going and it was awesome. And that's, the UCF game was good. The Kansas State, Colorado, it just kept going on all day. There was never a point where I said, I'm going to watch baseball. There was never that point, or anything else. But it was fun. It was just a fun Saturday. Let's get to number 5 on our Gainesville Quarterback Club starting 5. And that is that the AP basketball poll came out today. I didn't know it was coming out today. And again, I know that Todd Golden, his first year here, was surprised that nobody cared about basketball this time of year, but it's the way it is. But I think people are starting to care about it. And the AP poll came out, and guess what? The Mighty Gators are ranked 21st. Let's go. I'd rather they not be ranked personally, just so they could have a little chip, but they're supposed to be pretty good. I mean, when you look at the additions that they've gotten, they love the kid from FAU. You got Walter back. You got Will back. You got some big guys. We'll see how all that works out. The 7-9 guy is not going to be a factor, but they're 21st. However, there are 8 teams from the SEC. 8 teams from the SEC are in the top 25. So it's going to be a battle. Not only that, but North Carolina is ranked, obviously, and that's another team they play. Tough schedule for Florida, but it's the way you got to make it. You got to get those points. You got to get those rating points so you can get in the tournament, man, and then see what you can do. It's going to be fun with this Gator basketball team, though. I think everybody will agree on that. All right, it's time for us to take a break. We'll do that. We'll come back with Coach Spurrier. We'll see what he has to say about the Florida-Tennessee game. He's been through a few of those. Mostly successful, I will say that. We'll be right back with more of another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Gator fans, football season is here. What's better than seeing the Gators back on the field? Easy. Seeing amazing speakers and fellow Gator fans weekly at the Gainesville Quarterback Club. Held every Tuesday night of a home game at the Best Western Gateway Grand. Enjoy happy hour, great food, valuable insights from yours truly and Andy Staples, plus notable speakers throughout the season. As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you access to elite speakers like coaches, NCAA football insiders, Gator greats, and more. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-season meetings, home tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org or visit thequarterbackclub.org. Or better yet, just give me a call and I'll get you to the right people. Okay, welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And of course, Meldon Law is a sponsor of Coach Spurrier's appearances here every Meldon Monday. And, you know, there was a moment where I thought to myself, that felt like 98 a little bit. I was thinking the score was 20-17, but I forgot they scored a touchdown. But
17-all.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it felt the same way where you had the game. There were just all these things that happened, and they couldn't get through.
Yeah, there was a lot of similarities. In 98, the first two drives, we went down to the 3-yard line and had to kick a field goal.
Yeah.
And then the next time we fumbled going into the end zone on like first down, and first to go to 2 and got hit. And so we got 3 out of 2 visits inside the 5-yard line, actually. And the other day, 4 times in the red zone, we only got 3 points. So, you sometimes when you don't cash in those opportunities, you know, it can come back and bite you. And obviously that's what happened the other day. We're just as good a team as Tennessee, easily, and it was at their place. We had all kind of chances, but just didn't get it done. And hopefully we can regroup. And DJ Lagway, I guess he's our man now.
He is.
And we don't have to worry about who's going to play. He's it.
No.
And maybe we can turn a corner and start scoring all of those times and not have those 12 guys on the field and play pretty clean football. And I think we'll have a chance to have a winning season. I really do.
The obvious question, would you have gone for 2 in that situation?
Well, I started thinking back, and in 2013, we're at Missouri, and they were ahead 17-0 in the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden, Connor Shaw was sort of sick that day, and we weren't doing worth the flip. And I said, "Can you play a lick?" He said, "I can play, coach." So he goes in there, and we had a 4th and 15. So we get into overtime. I mean, we scored 17 in the fourth quarter, so I'm thinking we got our momentum. Let's don't go for two. So we got it into overtime, and we made our field goal, and their guy hit the upright, and it bounced backwards, which was a big win for us at that time. But anyway, you know, I don't know the percentages. Most teams don't make the
They
two-point
don't.
play.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Yeah.
obviously, in hindsight, we should have gone for it, obviously.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. In hindsight,
But,
I will say this: I thought in foresight they should have gone for it. But
Mm-hmm.
hey, you know, that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and certainly it was good to see. And here's a theory I brought up in the first
Mm-hmm.
part today, Steve, is that you know, this defense maybe is coming around.
Yeah.
Okay, they played really good against UCF. Don't forget, they made. Them bench KJ Jefferson last week because Florida destroyed him, and then obviously gave up 17 points to Tennessee. Now I don't have a high opinion of their quarterback right now. I know he's young, but he can't throw a lick. It's just I mean so and maybe with Lagway, maybe it opens some things up, and maybe they do start doing some interesting things.
Yeah, it'll be a good game this week against Kentucky. Kentucky obviously lost to Vanderbilt, and but they beat
Struggling a little bit, yep. They beat Ole
beat
Miss.
Ole Miss. Yeah, that was their big win, and then Ole Miss lost another heartbreaker. Ole Miss has had two close games, lost both of them, and to have big seasons, usually you got to win your close ones, and
Right.
So they're. They can still have a big year if they win the rest of them, but after two
They still
losses,
got Georgia,
yeah, a lot ahead of them.
It's at Ole Miss though, so that'll be interesting. Yeah, that's I mean his record on the road. I think is 500 in the SEC, and you know that's usually okay, but it's like it just keeps him from getting over that hump. You know they can't. You almost have to go 3-1, 4-0 in some of those in the SEC and road games. You have to be that good if you want to get in the playoffs. So we'll see how that all goes. But I think the Lane train is not as
Well, we got a lot of teams that had the schedule sort of weak the first 3 or 4 weeks. Missouri, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and then all of a sudden you start playing the rivals, SEC rivals, and everybody's pretty even. And we're even, I think, with just about everybody we'll play. Even Georgia. We just got to play better.
I agree.
Got to play better.
I think there's one elite team in this league now, and that's Texas. Now, I may be proven wrong, but I think they're the best by far, and then I think anybody else could beat anybody else.
I wrote down the two best teams in the SEC, Texas and Texas A&M. Now, where these guys come from?
Wow.
They're supposed to be in the Big East, but A&M, of course, has been in the conference, 10, 15 years or whatever.
So 11 they came in,
But they're the
13
two
years.
best right now. I think they're
maybe.
both undefeated. Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, Georgia, I don't know if you saw the video of Kirby Smart running over the Mississippi State quarterback. He's trying to get to his coordinator, and the Mississippi State quarterback is coming back, and he just drills him.
Run into him.
We'll see what happens there. But I watched their game, and I'm not impressed with them. I haven't been impressed with them really since the opener. The opener was the last time, and that was a good win over Clemson. You know.
Yeah.
But
Clemson has gotten a lot better, so
they have.
that win will look good on their resume. But we're about halfway there, so a lot can happen the second half of the season.
Yeah, I don't know if you watched that Oregon game, that Oregon-Ohio State game. Yeah, that was pretty amazing ending to that game. Obviously, we talked about LSU and Ole Miss, unbelievable ending to that game. It was just like they were coming up. The Illinois game was incredible finish. There was a ton of those going on all weekend. So it was a fun Saturday, other than the Florida game.
Yeah.
Other than them losing.
Yeah, so many teams are pretty even, and anything can happen. And that's what the fans want to see. They want to see close games, and that's what we've got. Penn State had an amazing win.
They did.
Southern Cal's got to be the unluckiest team, I think, in the country. They've lost 3 games. 2 of them is when the other team made a 4th and 1.
Yep.
They lost those 2. And then the other day, Penn State beat them with a field goal there at the end. Very close game also. So anyway,
Yep.
they got 3 losses, and that's all you can say.
It is amazing. Speaking of which, we have our Campus USA play of the weekend, and it comes from the Penn State game. And, of course, Coach Spurrier is a spokesperson for Campus USA, and he's got the shirt on today, so that's cool. So here it is, and this looked like a play that you used to draw up. Emery and Henry, some kind of where they run it over there, and so that guy, the center is actually who's going to catch the ball, who just runs down the field. And they're right there with him, but this guy makes an unbelievable catch. Tyler Warren's his name, and I'll tell you this much.
Yeah, he's eligible, see, and all the rest of them are off the line.
And they're, of course, assuming these guys are eligible, but they really are in the backfield. It's a really smart, creative play, and it's surprising that.
I tell you, yeah, their safety was right there.
I know.
It's funny how a lot of these DBs they don't fight for the ball.
They don't.
There's a bunch of guys going for it, and they just let the receiver seem to go catch it.
Yep.
I mean, all over the country. It's sort of amazing.
Well, you watch those NFL games, and they're hand fighting and punching, and I mean, it's almost, I don't know how anybody ever catches the ball. I did want to mention that Tyler Warren in that game had 17 catches, and also had some runs, and also he did everything. And I tell you what, he got on my Heisman radar. You know, I don't fill out an imaginary ballot, as I'm sure you don't either. But we have a radar where we're thinking about guys like Cam Ward and, different guys. In fact, I saw somebody had him listed as the 10th candidate now. And I'll put him on there. I mean, if I watch him play again and they go up and they're, like a 2 seed in the playoffs or something, and I would vote for him. I would have no problem voting for a tight end.
Yeah, he's a heck of a player. I tell you, another team to keep our eye on is Army.
Yep.
In fact, I put them in my top 4 in the country. They are number 1 in the nation in rush offense, and they're number 1 in the nation in rush defense.
Wow.
And they're 6-0. And they've been winning by big scores. And I think Navy's undefeated also.
They are. They're both ranked for the first time since 1960.
Yeah, they're both very good teams. And I haven't seen Navy, but I've seen Army. And you talk about
you
fundamentally
saw them in person,
sound.
Right?
Yeah, well, they played Tulsa on TV.
Oh, on TV,
and,
okay.
Yeah, they won 49-7. So, I mean, they play defense, can run the ball, and they got some good passes off that triple option. Oh, they are they make about 1 penalty the whole game.
Yeah, I know.
You know, why is it so difficult to play fundamentally sound? I'll tell you, Army does it, and a lot of teams can do it. And that's what makes these teams so good. Texas, they don't make many penalties, and so forth either. But anyway, we got a lot of big games ahead of us, and hopefully Lagway coming in as QB may add a big spark, and we'll see where we go from here.
I did want to mention this Army, and I used to talk about this in the COVID year, 2020. They led the nation in defense because they stayed disciplined. Where everybody else doesn't know who's playing, they stayed disciplined.
And their offense stays on the field a long time. That triple option, nobody can stop it. They go 5, 7, 4, 6, 7. And, they can hog the ball, as we say, and their defense doesn't have to play but about 1/4 of the game, or 1/3 anyway, most of the time.
And that's why, I mean, for all the criticism that Billy Napier's getting, that was a great game plan that he had, which was to kind of bleed the clock a little bit. Florida had they had a lead in every category: yards, time of possession, penalties. They had fewer penalties, but just a mistake here and a mistake there. They were like 4 plays away from winning that game easily. Yeah. And that's what Lane Kiffin was saying about their game against LSU. We should have won the game easily, but if you don't do it,
ifs and buts.
We're candies and nuts. I did want to talk a little bit about the NFL. Jaguars 1-5, man. That's pretty amazing. And there were so many expectations for them coming in.
Yeah, they had a very difficult day. The Cowboys had a very difficult day. I don't know. Cleveland Browns, they lose all the time. I really think there's something to it when a quarterback gets so much more money than everybody else.
Yep.
And
I agree.
I just think there's something to it. I may be wrong. Hopefully I am. But it just seems like those teams don't have the camaraderie that they should have. Now, Kansas City does.
They do.
Mahomes, I mean, he's such a great teammate and all this, that, and the other. And I think he bought the team, or most of the guys, like a golf cart and a set of clubs and everything. And I know Tom Brady, when he was quarterback Tampa Bay, he limited. He said, "Pay me like 25 grand. I don't need 40 or 50," and spread it out through the rest of the team. And you know, the players on the team, they love the quarterback does something like that. But that doesn't happen very often. But anyway, it just seems like a lot of times it doesn't work out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You would think there'd be 30 great general managers out there, but there aren't. And there's not 30 great owners. We all know that. You ran into it in Washington with a not a good owner, obviously. And I mean, your general manager wasn't that great either. But you've got to have that. You know, you've got to have a good coach, but you got to have all those other things in place. We talk about building the culture here. You got to build it in the NFL too.
Yeah, and college is down to that also.
Yeah.
Where if some teams have some players making all the money and not playing very well, it affects the team.
That's what I was thinking about. I wonder if you've got NIL insurance. For example, Graham Mertz is lost for the year. They're paying him. I think he's the second most paid player on the team. Can you get that money back? I mean, not from him, but can you take out an insurance policy against an injury like that? Like Graham might have taken one out because I know David Lerner used to his dad used to do a lot of those because remember Ed Chester collected on his injury when he got hurt. That was sad, man, when he got hurt because he just running around behind a play and got clipped, didn't he?
Something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, it can happen in college also. Some people say FSU's problem is, they gave a lot of money to the quarterback and he hadn't played all that well, and you go from there. But anyway.
Maybe that's the problem at UCF too, where they benched KJ Jefferson.
KJ Jefferson. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I did want to ask you one more thing. Obviously when you see Mertz hopping away and then all of a sudden he goes down, and the immediate thought I had was that may be an ACL. For some reason, the ACL injuries come from just things you would normally do, but it's just the right angle, and you tear it. And it's almost always non-contact.
Yeah, it can be. It certainly can be, and that's what happened. I mean, he was, I guess, had already handed off and thrown the ball or something.
Thrown a touchdown,
already thrown the ball. And he was just sort of hopping around a little bit, nothing big. And then all of a sudden he started limping. So I don't know how those things happen, but they certainly do.
Did you ever hurt your ACL?
Oh, yeah, I had a surgery, but I was hit and got my leg caught in the ground, and I felt a little twinge when it happened. So that's actually I was planting and cutting. I planted and tried to cut real hard. And it just gave way.
Yeah,
so that's when I had that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw where Aiden Hutchinson has a broken leg. Yeah, boy, Detroit looks like the best team in football.
Yeah, they're very good.
They're good. That guy is. I thought what he was doing when I was watching on Hard Knocks. I go, that's never going to work in the NFL. Guess what? It does. You never know what's going to work.
Yeah, he was just building enthusiasm and momentum and letting the team know, hey, this is how we're going to play. We're going to play full speed and go and every game and blah, blah, blah. So that's what he does. And the assistant coaches do basically all the play calling and all the coaching. And the head coach at a lot of teams, they just in charge of the attitude and effort of the players. And he obviously does a super job of that.
He does, absolutely. All right, Coach, got anything else?
Well, we got Vandy coming in this week. Is that at 12 o'clock?
Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Yeah. No, it's 7:30.
Oh, it's a 7:30 game.
Or 7:45 game. Yeah, late game.
Yeah, it's a late game. Yeah, we need this one this week, and
I'd rather play them than Vandy right now.
I believe I would too. Yeah, I believe I would too. Vandy's
hot.
That
guy was on the Heisman list. I saw.
I thought for sure Kentucky would beat them. I thought Vandy would have a week. They were on national TV. Bobby was on every station you could find. So I thought they'd have a letdown, but they hung in there. They hung in there and got a win. So give Vandy
Mark
credit.
Lee, you got to give. Hey, he's done a heck of a job. I think we all thought it was a dumb hire, and why would they do this? And
Well, one good thing, he went to Vandy.
yeah.
To me, there's always something about that.
There is.
Nobody does it hardly anymore. But when a coach can coach at his alma mater like he does and so forth, it adds a little bit like I did. I'm the last one. Doug Dickey went to Florida
Yeah, he did.
and coached here. Well, I think we're the only two ever probably.
Yeah.
But it just, some assistant coaches and all that went to the
Yeah.
school. But he went and got a bunch of coaches from New Mexico State. So there's all kind of ways you can hire coaches.
There's no. I mean, there are different ways you can try to do it, but there's no set way.
That's right.
And it's about doing it the right way. If you do it the right way, you win games. Win games, everybody's happy.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to let Coach go. We appreciate him, as always, on a Meldon Monday, brought to you by Meldon Law, and, of course, our Campus USA Play of the Weekend as well. We'll be back with more of another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios right after this break.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured,
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
and our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. You know about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great. Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Always great to go to our Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line and bring in Robbie Andrew for Yes, No, Way, or Maybe, which is also sponsored by Big Mills Cheesesteak. Robert, how are you?
Good, Patrick. How are you?
I'm good. I keep catching my finger on these headphones, though. So
Yeah, I saw that. You're gonna hurt yourself.
how many ways can I hurt myself? That's the question.
Do you have time for that?
Obviously, disappointing ending to the game Saturday night. But really, the game was lost in the first half. That's when they lost it.
Well, yeah, Pat. I mean, they should have been ahead 20 or 17-0 at least. I mean, you fumble on 1st and goal inside the 1. You do a jet sweep on 4th and 2 inches and get nailed for a loss. I mean, it was unbelievable that they had a plan to win the game. The players played hard. They should have won the game, and it just didn't happen.
Yep, and it's kind of funny. I was thinking about this before. Everybody wants Lane Kiffin to be the next coach, and all these people that want that, and I'm like, he's the same guy. He's the guy who somehow loses games he should win. And the difference is he'll still win 9 or 10 games. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But Pat, when you look at Spurrier, look at Urban Meyer, good coaches find way to win games like this. Florida has a coach that finds way to lose games. Apparently, I mean, you take away if they'd won the Missouri and Arkansas games last year, which they should have won, he wouldn't have been on the hot seat all off season and come into this year on the hot seat. And now he loses another game that he should have won. It's like he doesn't know how to win games. It's obvious. Lane Kiffin is the same way, Pat. Lane Kiffin, what big game has he won at Ole Miss?
It's funny because I looked it up. I was curious. On the road, he is 500 in the SEC, which you go, okay, well, that's not terrible. It's not elite, though. However, almost all those wins are either against Vanderbilt or teams that were in down years, like Tennessee that year. The fans were throwing stuff at him and everything. Yeah, that was a tough environment, but Tennessee wasn't that good that year.
No, I mean, but you're right. Lane Kiffin's the same guy, a guy that doesn't know how to win big games.
Yep.
He finds a way to lose them. I mean, losing at home to the game they lost the other day.
Kentucky, yeah.
Losing to Kentucky at home,
That's
no
not good.
excuse for them. No.
Well, we'll see if Florida loses to Kentucky at home.
They could, of course.
It'll be interesting. All right, it's time for us to play Yes, Nowhere, Maybe with Robbie Andrew, brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak. Street dining done the right way. Just go in there and say you listen to the podcast, and you'll get free fries with your order. Let's go to number one. Robbie, Florida wins another game this year.
Oh, that's a tough one, Pat. I'm going to give it a very shaky yes. And I'll say why it's shaky, because now you've got a true freshman quarterback going against this schedule the rest of the way, which is going to be brutal. And, they're going to throw all kinds of stuff at him. There's going to be a lot of bad plays, I'm sure, from him, some great ones too. But, it's going to be a struggle. But I think that the team is going to rally behind Lagway. He's got a lot of potential. He's going to make some plays. And he's going to be good enough to get him a win or two on the way down the stretch here, and maybe generate some momentum to take into the offseason. Who knows? Maybe but I do feel bad for Mertz. I mean, he put everything into this here at Florida, and he turned his career around. And then to have a non-contact injury like that's just you feel bad for the guy.
I'd say when it happened, I saw him limping off. I go, man, I hope he turned his ankle, and then they showed the replay, and I went, "Oh, it's an ACL." I said, I'm not saying I'm smart. I'm not a doctor, but I've seen that happen so many times. And then he gets to the sideline, slams his helmet down. I went, "Oh, it's definitely an ACL."
Yeah,
He's
man,
done.
that was the same with me when I saw the replay and saw his reaction. I knew it was bad for him, and then he was on crutches the rest of the game, so you knew it was bad, and it is. He's got a torn ACL. He's done.
And all the players were coming up and telling him, keep your head up, you've been a great leader. And that's the thing that look, DJ Lagway is more talented than Graham Mertz.
He is. He's raw, but he's raw.
But Graham Mertz is a better quarterback right now.
Yeah.
And so we'll see if Coach Mertz, he's gonna be coaching him up. And we'll see how all that goes. All right, number two on Yes, Nowhere, Maybe. It's perfect that it's number two. You would have gone for two in that situation.
Yeah, Pat, I was sitting here with Jill, and I said, go for two. Try to win the game now. You're on the road. You go for two, the game is over. Don't risk overtime on the road in a hostile crowd. And Tennessee had momentum on offense. So I said, try to end it now. If you fail, I give you credit for – scared money don't make money. You made a good call. But then he backed out of it, and they get beaten overtime. So, and that wasn't retrospect. I said it at the time, go for two, end it now.
I said the same thing. As soon as they scored, I was surprised. First of all, Lagway's running, you wonder if he's going to get the first down, and then all of a sudden you see this dart, and you go, oh, DK's open. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Now, go, and I immediately go for two. You got to go for two right here.
Yeah.
But no.
That way it's out of Tennessee's hands then. I mean, you go for two, make it, the game is basically over. I mean, to go into overtime on the road, if you were at home, I would go to overtime. On the road, when you're a big underdog, go for the win, end it.
All right, let's go to number three on Yes, Nowhere, Maybe, brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteaks. Robbie, you hope the Cowboys keep Mike McCarthy forever.
Yeah, that'd be great, Pat. I mean, I'm like you. I hate the Cowboys. And what a great birthday present for Jerry Jones yesterday. A 40-point home loss. And I know the national TV audience didn't enjoy it, but I sure did. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, we were watching it, and I'm like, I really want to watch this Lions-Cowboys game. And we were grilling out in the back, and the nice, cool weather. I go, this is perfect. Then all of a sudden it's a blowout, and Karen's like, what can we watch something else? Is there another game on? I go, no, this is great. This is like I told you, watching FSU is like watching porn,
Yeah.
when they lose.
Man, I was hoping for half 100. That's kind of cruel, I guess. But I was hoping for half 100.
Yeah, I was too.
That would have been a great 82nd birthday present for Jerry Jones.
Yep. He's not going to change coaches, though, so hopefully he never does. All right, Robbie, we'll let you go.
Okay,
appreciate you.
Thanks. I'll see you soon.
See ya. Okay, appreciate Robbie as always. Let's get to our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. I was texting back and forth with Ken because he was really into that Penn State. I didn't even mention that game, the Penn State USC game, which was an amazing game. I didn't mention it. Coach Spurrier mentioned it. But we were texting back and forth during that game, and then as soon as they scored a touchdown, he sent me a text, go for 2, and I was like, that's exactly what I said. Anyway, we know more than anybody, right? All the coaches and everything. But let's get to our Hesser and Kipke 3 things, brought to you by Hesser and Kipke, a Gainesville firm here for your needs in family law or workers' compensation. Call or text Ken and Jennifer 24/7 at 352-339-9920. Hesser and Kipke, nearly 50 years of combined legal experience and about to celebrate their 5th anniversary in January. Hesser and Kipke. I'll try to do that read next time without spitting while I was doing it, but I was spitting. You probably heard that. All right, let's go to number 1, which is, man, there are a lot of coaches on the hot seat. We already fired one NFL coach, the Jets coach, Robert Saleh. And now look, McCarthy, I mentioned, obviously that's why I asked that question to Robbie, but McCarthy, everybody's asking, is he gone? Is he gone? 3 losses at home, got destroyed. They don't look good. And like Coach said, you give the quarterback all that money. Sometimes it doesn't work out. But it's not just him. Sirianni's getting into it with fans up in Philly, with his own fans. That's the last thing you want to do. They were talking about the possibility of the coach in Taylor and Cincinnati getting fired after he won the game last night. So this is the NFL. The NFL is not a long-term thing. There are teams like Pittsburgh and certainly Kansas City with Andy Reid. But Andy Reid got fired once, So you're on the chopping block all the time. I'm sure that Canal is up in Carolina. It's not his fault they're so bad. They've been poorly managed. But that's what I was talking about with Coach Spurrier before. With the NFL, if you don't have a good owner and a good general manager, you got no chance. You could be the greatest coach in the world, and you got no chance. But there's just a lot of chatter about coaches getting fired or not getting fired, and we'll see how all that plays out. But I guarantee you, I'll bet you 5 coaches get fired. That's pretty much the norm for the NFL. Maybe 5 in college, too. You never know. All right, let's go to number 2, which is, and again, we always do this, and I always mention it, but most of you are listening to this on Tuesday, and you already know the result of Monday's game. But I did want to talk about the Dodgers game against the Mets. They are unhittable right now, and they'll probably give up 90 hits tonight. 9-0 win in the game 1, and of course you have the other game tonight. So, and then the playoffs are going on. But the only reason I even brought this up was I was sitting there and I was trying to figure out who I was rooting for, because the 2 teams. Well, there's 3 teams I really despise. There's 4, maybe there's 5 or 6. Anyway, but in order it would go Yankees, Mets, probably, and I know I put the Astros like 5th on that list. But Yankees, Mets, Dodgers. And that's the thing. I hate the Dodgers. This goes back to when the Dodgers were in the same division as the Braves, and that was our big rivalry games, and I used to lose my mind over them. So the game's getting ready to start. I'm like, who am I rooting for in this game? And I went, and my daughter lives out in L.A. I guess I'll root for them. Then I called her up and said, hey, you watching the game? She goes, no. I don't care about baseball anymore, so I don't care who won. But I know who won because I didn't watch the whole game, but I did see it. Let's get to number 3 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things, which is I don't know what is going on with volleyball, and I probably should check out what's going on with volleyball. And I'll talk to Jeff today, I'm sure, about it off the air, maybe on the air. But, man, lost to South Carolina 3-0. Some of the scores you're seeing are not only, they're alarming, like 25-14. Stuckey had like 30 assists in the game, 8 kills. Martin had all these numbers, but I don't know what's going on. They just can't seem to get over the hump. They did win once this week, but they're 11-5 now, and so that was South Carolina's first SEC win of the year. So I don't know what's going on, and it's obviously Mary will figure it out, and she's had so much success. One of the great people that work over there that I just love her to death, and I feel for her. I usually text her after big wins. I haven't had that many opportunities this year. So anyway, that is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Let's move to our Leonardos at Millhopper Quick Picks. Kyle Cohen and the folks over there, they got open quickly after the hurricane went through, and that was good. And I know people were excited to be able to get over there and eat. Look, we're going to give you a Wednesday game because that's the best timing part of this, and we'll give you other games on Thursday's show. But we're going to give you Sam Houston. I know that you're excited about this game. Western Kentucky is at Sam Houston. Not surprisingly, Sam Houston is a 3-point favorite. It's pretty good for one guy against a whole team. But that's your pick. Sam Houston -3 at home against Western Kentucky, just to give you another chance to qualify. All right, that brings us to our Adams Ribco Gator of the weekend. And I thought about this for a long time because usually when Florida loses the game, I don't like to make it a Florida football player. I'd try to find somebody in another sport. But Shamir Dike did what I've been asking Florida to do for a long time, which is run back punts. And he did 2 of those, ran 2 back for 30 and 27. And then the touchdown just was unbelievable. It was exciting and great, and I think he is coming into his own. I think he's only going to get better. And he is our Adams Ribco Gator of the weekend. Go by Adams and get some ribs and say, Pat Dooley sent me. He told me you better come by here and get some ribs. And I can tell you, they have the best size there too. The green beans. I always tell people, you can tell if a barbecue restaurant's good by their green beans, because if the green beans are just, blah, no good. If they got real flavor and there's some bits of ham, that's why they do it. All right, so we appreciate Adam. Let's get to our the Wendig's Realtors present the 12, which is the 12 teams that I have in the playoffs, brought to you by Christine and Steve Wendig, and we appreciate their sponsorship. They've been great, and we'll get to our 12 right now. Texas is 1. You know that. Texas is 1 everywhere. I got Miami at 2. I got Oregon at 3. What a win that was for them. Dan Lanning, boy. Yeah, if Florida could get him, that'd be great. But you're not going to get Dan Lanning. Dan Lanning is not going anywhere unless he decided to go to the NFL. He's got a great job with the NIL. It's unlimited. I wouldn't go anywhere ever. And it's a pretty good place to live. So I got Oregon 3, Iowa State 4. So you have to have 4 champions up there. 5 is Ohio State. 6, Brigham Young. I think Brigham Young is sleepy good. I've watched a few of their games, like bits and pieces, but I've watched enough of them to know that they're one of those teams, and they're undefeated right now, and I think they're going to win the conference and get in. So they'll finish second, because I have Iowa State winning the conference, so it'd be impossible for them to win the conference. But I think they may end up with losing in the championship game and still get in the playoff. Number 7, I have Georgia. I'm just not impressed with Georgia right now. The most impressive thing they did was their comeback in the second half against Alabama in a loss. Other than that, I haven't been, and the Clemson game, but they just kind of sleepwalk through a lot of these games. 8, I have Alabama, and I went back and forth on this because Alabama beat Georgia, right? So Alabama should be ahead of Georgia, and they probably will be when the rankings come out when the committee gets to it. But Alabama lost to Vandy. That's a worse loss than losing to Alabama. But is it really? So, that's the thing. The way Vandy's going, that I guarantee Alabama's going, go, Vandy, go. Go keep winning games. Go 9-2 or 10-2 and see what we can get. Number 9, I have LSU, reluctantly, but that's where I've got them. Number 10, I've got Clemson. Clemson is another sneaky good team, but you wonder, are they getting better or are they just not playing, better teams? Georgia obviously clubbed them. Notre Dame at number 11. Somebody got mad at me for putting Notre Dame in my top 20 because I had them higher. And they said, they lost to Northern Illinois. And I go, well, yeah. And that loss is looking worse every day because Northern Illinois has not been good. But they've beaten all their other teams. They played some pretty good teams. Although somebody was going on and on about how well they played against Stanford. And I'm like, Stanford? They're terrible. And then Boise State at number 12. A lot of people have Army plugged in there at number 12. I've got Boise State. Probably one of us is wrong. Well, I know one of us is wrong. Thanks to Steve and Christine Windig for our Present the 12, and we appreciate them. And of course, they're at Boss Hart Realty, and you can get a hold of them very easily. We have our card up there. All right, what is next? Our Swamp Games of the Week. Let's get to our Swamp Games of the Week. Okay, again, if you're listening today, you can still you won't be able to watch it. But today, 4:08 Fox Game 2 of the the NLCS. Cleveland and New York play at 7:38 on TBS, and then Tuesday it's Cleveland at New York on TBS at 7:38. One game on Tuesday, and then you just keep going. 2 games here, 1 game there. We'll talk about more of what's going on through the weekend. I will be honest with you. I was trying to look up the schedule and say, okay, let's go. Let's see if we can find a nugget here. You know what I mean? A nugget, a game that, oh man, you got to watch this game. There are 3 games I don't even want to watch. All 3 games are not teams that are brands, and they're all double-digit underdogs. So no. And then you come back Wednesday. Well, there's 2 games Wednesday. Stinkers. Thursday, Boston College at Virginia Tech on ESPN at 7:30. It's the best I could do. That's the only. I love that we're playing, and in fact, FSU plays on Friday this week. I love that we're playing these weekday games, and I know that the MAC and everything and the smaller conferences are able to take advantage of it, but doesn't mean you have to watch. And these are games I would watch in August. That's why they should they should have a whole other season in August. I've got a whole plan. I'll talk about it one day. So those are our Swamp Games of the weekend. And we were, of course, out there last Thursday. We'll be here this Thursday. Yeah, this is a home game. Yeah, I keep forgetting. Home game. So we'll be at the Swamp Thursday if you want to come out and say hello. Jeff Cardozo and myself for the tailgate, and we'll be having a great time out there. We always do. We have a great time. Our favorite trip, I think, is going out to the Swamp and the Hilton and Hawkstone. Those are the 3. And we love doing them on game weeks. That's why I look forward to home games. All right, it is time for us to do the Hugh Cain Allstate Mayhem moment. The Gator Nation is in good hands with local Allstate agent Hugh Cain. Stop by Alachua Marketplace Plaza in Alachua and get a free quote today. All right, that Lane Thomas homer was incredible, and the grand slam. It didn't win the game. It wasn't a walk-off, but it put them up 5-1, and that was it. They cruised to the victory to go to advance the Guardians, Cleveland Guardians, and that was off Scooble too, who's been unhittable lately. Really interesting story, Scooble. But Lane Thomas, that was a big moment. And the other thing was, I must have on Twitter seen 20 to 25 different versions of the homer, like from this angle, from this angle. Here's what my front was from my seat. Here where it was from the dugout. All these. This is what the new media is, where you hit a homer, and by the time you round the bases, there are 9 versions of it up on. But that's fine. I love that you can see all that, and it's cool. But that is our Hugh Cain Allstate Mayhem moment. We appreciate Hugh Cain, and I was actually laughing at a Hugh Cain Allstate moment commercial the other day, the one where the guy's got the bobblehead on, but it's his own face. That guy was really good in 30 Rock too. He was Liz Lemon's boyfriend for a while. All right, let's wrap it up with our Ox Strong movers. These are the movers, and these are the ones that moved this week in the AP poll. LSU up 5 with that big win, up to number 8 in the country. I don't know that LSU is the number 8th best team in the country, but I don't know who else I'd put in there. I mean, Tennessee was ranked 8th, and we'll get to Tennessee. Ole Miss down 9 for that loss to 18. And they've lost 2 tough games, and they're down to 18. Tennessee goes down to number 11 with an overtime win over Florida. They're all celebrating, and they drop in the polls. Utah out of the poll completely. They moved out. We got to get some move out. I'm moving out. Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun. And Army and Navy moved up into the poll, and they're both ranked for the first time since 1960. I mentioned that earlier. That is brought to you by the Ox Strong Movers, great moving company. They do a great job. And Zach and the boys over there, we appreciate them. All right, that is going to do it for our show. Wow, a lot of stuff today. I hope we didn't go too long, but we will be, like I said, we will be at Hawkstone tomorrow doing our radio show. We'll be at the Swamp on Thursday, and we'll be at the Hilton where the Gators stay on Friday. If you want to come out and say hello, have a beer, have some nachos, a little nosh, we'll see you then. Thanks to Zach, who puts up with me, and it's not easy. My second wife, I think. But thanks to him for doing such a great job with the show. We'll be back on Thursday with John Clay. It'll be interesting to see what he has to say about Kentucky and why they're struggling. And that'll be a lot of fun. All right, we'll be back then. Until then, I am Pat Dooley. I'm deep way back, and I am out of here.